Alrighty, so the first game of the so-called Heineken rivalry week from match week number 12 is in the books, and I knew this was going to happen. Where in this game there was just so many times where the commentators were talking about this being a rivalry, and that during this game I know the play-by-play commentator and the color commentator was Nick Buckley and Kendra D. St. Alban, and you know that Kendra D. St. Alban is one of my favorite commentators going back to her days with Minnesota United. But my God, I mean, this was very unlike Kendra with her just kind of beating the word rivalry so many times throughout this. I mean, if you would have done a drinking game in terms of every time the commentator mentioned the word rivalry, yeah, I would think that you should stop by the end of the first half, or maybe even for the first 30 minutes, because it was incredible how many times they mentioned it. It was just getting to a point where I'm like, Kendra, can you stop just keep saying that this is a rivalry? I know both of these teams are pretty close in terms of geographical, and I know MLS want to promote this being a so-called new rival. But again, these two teams they've only played once in the U.S. Open Cup, and they're not even in this same conference. And that again, I just find it super annoying every time I want to hear the word rivalry, and we don't even actually talk about what actually has happened in this game, and they're barely mention of how the play of this game of course turns out, which by the way, it was actually pretty fast early in this one. Just 2 minutes into this game, Jimenez almost gifted another back pass goal for St. Louis, but Brady was able to just clear that one away. Well, actually, he didn't just clear the way. He actually scrambled off his lines and just got there in time. But Jimenez did make amends for it in the third minute. Well, he tried to make an amends of it, but he blasted high from close range before Berkey denied Kamara from close. Kamara then hits one right to Berkey before on the other end, Brady would deny Leuven from close range. And again, it was just a crazy start to this game. I mean, both of these teams were pushing for the opening goal. And this is despite the fact that this was being a noon kickoff. Again, I feel like this year, in terms of these limited marquee kind of, or limited matinee kind of games, it tends to be very fast start because usually with these matinee games things can be a little bit slow, especially being an early kickoff. But no, both of these teams they were gunning for it from the opening whistle. I mean, it wouldn't stay that way though. But in the ninth minute, Berkey would deny Herberts from close range before on the other end, Giacchini tried to toe poke it in as the cross comes in, but he just missed that one wide. And again, it's end to end action, and it feels like with this being an early kickoff, it's not the attack that hasn't woke up, it's the defense and midfield because there was no defense and midfield play in the first 10 minutes. It was just way too easy for both of these teams to go up and down the field to create chances. But I will say this, the game did eventually tighten it up, and that I think both midfield and defense realized that, yeah, let's actually show up and actually, I mean, maybe stop those kind of gaps that is apparent on our defensive line that allow the opposition attack to have so many chances in front of our goal. But yeah, the game did tighten up, and there was not much chances for both of these teams. And then in the 32nd minute, there's definitely some concern if you're a Fire fan seeing Turan had to be subbed off. Originally, it looked like it was a serious knee injury because they had to get the stretcher off, and I thought, uh-oh, is this maybe that injury that starts with the letter A that is going to be the case? But he did walk off, though he did walk off a little bit gingerly, and Shios basically replaced him in that spot. And it turns out to be a super sub for Rafael Shios because just 8 minutes later, he would get on the score sheet as he scored here from Shakiri to make it 1-0 in favor of the Fire. It was a great delivery there from Shakiri, and then Shios able to sneak behind that St. Louis defense and basically toe poke that one in. But at the same time, yeah, if you're St. Louis, that is going to be disappointing because you cannot allow She-Host that easy to sneak you behind in the back post, and that somebody's got to be there in the back post. Nobody was there, and yeah, they paid the price for it, and they're down 1-0. Now, the second minute of stoppage time, Brady denied Pompey who after another terrible giveaway from the Fire, and at that point, I feel like the Chicago Fire are really lucky. The fact that they're not gave up a late equalizer, or even down 2-1, because if you know one thing about this St. Louis team, they feast on giveaways. I mean, this is a team that is, for the first 5 games when they went on that 5-game winning streak to start their life in MLS, that's been kind of the storyline of them, and that's kind of where a lot of people kind of upset with the way that they've been very lucky in terms of all these goals they scored because of giveaways, and that again in this one there was a couple of times where it has happened, but fortunately for the Fire, St. Louis wasn't as clinical in terms of capitalizing those mistakes. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Joe Kloss wasn't in this game. And again, I feel like when you look at how St. Louis has played in this game, and really in the last couple of games, they dearly miss Joe Kloss present up front. But as we do head to halftime with the Fire leading 1-0 in the second half, they almost made it 2-0 as Herbert hits an absolute rocket that rattled the post from long range, and they were definitely on the front foot to look for a second goal. Though Ruben did fires at high from long range in the 53rd minute. We once again get a long period of time without any chances, which kind of favors the Chicago Fire because they want to lock this down. Though again, neither of these teams were looking good in the final third. And then in the 70th minute, we got a second yellow card on John Nelson as St. Louis went down to 10 men here. And you're thinking, well, now with the way that the Fire are a man up, can they finally shake their reputation of choking late leads at home? And keep in mind, this is a game that for the Chicago Fire, it's the debut of their new head coach, Frank Kopas, and that whether or not we'll see what it does he has that present to really kind of tell his team that yeah they're not going to let another one slip away like they've done so many times this season at home. And Shamilko trying to make sure that didn't happen in the 76th minute as he puts it into the back net, but the goal, of course, was disallowed for offside. Though I will say that is that even if the Fire were leading 2-0, I'm pretty sure every Fire fans will say that yeah, don't be surprised they might blow that 2-0 lead too, even though like normally when a team score a second goal late in the game, that's pretty much game set and match. Not the Chicago Fire, because you know that this team has that tendency of blowing multiple goals lead, and that I guess maybe just in a way it's kind of good that Shibuko didn't score because multiple goal lead that they're trying to hold on this season at home has just been an Achilles heel for this Fire team. But in the 82nd minute, Shaqiri did had a shot that was deflected and goes wide before Berkey denied Costas from long range. And you just wonder, I know that they don't want to get that second goal because they might blow another multiple goal lead, but at the same time, we're getting late in the game where they have to eventually get that second goal to kill this game off, and you just wonder will these missed chances come back to haunt the Chicago Fire team? And for one of the few times, it did not. They hold on to win 1-0 in this one against St. Louis. Shots in this one, 9 shots apiece, 6 shots on goal compared to 2 that St. Louis had. Keep in mind, a lot of those shots came in the first 10 minutes. Again, early on, it looked like this was going to be a track meet, but it definitely tighten up as the game goes along. 2 shots off target with the 5 that St. Louis had. 2 shots that was blocked with the 1 that Chicago has. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that the Chicago Fire has in this game. So yeah, for Frank Copas, his first game coaching for the Chicago Fire team ends up to be a win. And we'll see whether or not if this is maybe just a turnaround for the Fire this season or just kind of part of that new head coach boost, because we usually see this happen where whenever a team coming off of a game where their head coach got fired and either an interim head coach or a head coach being promoted in that spot, they tends to play much harder, and we saw it in this game where I feel like the Fire were playing much harder, and that even late in the game they definitely show that ability of just keep pushing forward to try to get that second goal and make sure they don't let another game where they're on the winning position and they basically gave up a goal to let it slip. But like I said, we'll see whether or not if that is going to be something that they're going to continue to do under Frank Copas. But for St. Louis, I mean, yeah, again, ever since that 5 game winning streak to start their season, they have only won once ever since that, and that was that 5-1 win against FC Cincinnati in a game that was a long delay in that one, which again, some people will say that, well, that maybe is an excuse because of the fact that the opposition weren't ready for that long rate delay. But other than that, again, I do think that when you look at the St. Louis side, the issue that they have is mainly teams are starting to kind of figure them out a little bit, where if you don't get caught in the press and really kind of tire the team out, then yeah, you can definitely be successful, because you look at the second half and how many times I mentioned St. Louis having a chance. Not really. time. They you can see that the team looked like they were already fatigued by the time they get into the second half because they were pressing so much in the first half. And I will say that, there were times where they were able to call out the Chicago Fire because of it. But unlike previously, they weren't able to take advantage of those chances, and that's kind of the difference between in this game. Because if they would have took away those chances, they could have easily found themselves 2-1 up heading into the second half and really locked this game down. But again, because they weren't able to capitalize that, and not to mention again the gel clause loss that they have, and also a couple of guys that is also in on the IR right now because St. Louis is actually dealing with a bit of an injury bug, and that I think we're starting to see that usually expansion team in terms of depth it doesn't usually go so well, and we're starting to see it again with the St. Louis side, that maybe things are started to kind of, I wouldn't say unravel, but it started to kind of got back down to earth where, yeah, this is kind of the team that has started to look like an expansion team. And it's okay because, it's, I think overall, as an expansion team, you're going to have the highs and lows, mostly lows, but you hope that eventually it ends in a high, and that, for Bradley Carnell, it's going to be interesting to see that, I think once they do get some of their most important player back, especially getting Joe Claus back, I think this team should be okay going forward. But I think that maybe is another sense that you would say that this front office maybe may be thinking about adding some more depth pieces in the summer transfer window, because again, the depth that they have, it doesn't look like they've been performing at the same rate that they were in the beginning of the season, and that this is where they're gonna see if they can fix that in the middle of the year, to trying to booster of them potentially maybe making the playoffs. I mean, I still think that even with this downturn that St. Louis has had because of that great run that they had in the start of the season, it's still going to take a monumental collapse for them to miss out on the playoffs. I mean, they're still second in the standings, and I think right now they've have got like 21 points. Like, in terms of making the playoffs this season, I think 45 or 50. Well, not 50, but 45. I think should be enough to make it. And with the way that we still got 2/3 of the season, I mean, with about 20 plus games left, St. Louis can draw the rest of the way, and I think they'll still make it to the playoffs because of that good start that they had this season. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the review of this game. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys do like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.